Good morning. It is November the 11th, 11/11/22, whatever that means to you. 11/11/22 is Friday, Veterans Day. So, all my veterans out there, such as myself, I definitely appreciate you for doing what you have done, not just for this country, but for your communities. For those who give back to their communities, the intellectual property and the things that they've learned, the leadership and all that stuff. So I would say happy Veterans Day to you and all those that are out there who are prior service and veterans. So let's serve this community well, with all the gifts and all the things that has been poured into us. Let's learn how to pour that back out, whether it's pouring into your own children or pouring into your own family or pouring into your community. Let's pour back into it. All right. So now I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of freebies out there for veterans, places to go eat, buy one, get one free, or just the whole meal is completely a gift to you and in your service, or a gift to our service, I should say. Peace. Good morning, Miss Queenie. Um, so, man, today we're gonna close out this week strong. We had a very good week, very strong week, nice topics, subjects. I'm gonna tell you how it works. Sometimes I get inspired by something that I see the day prior, or I get inspired when I go on a run or the morning walk or the morning run. I get inspired and I come into the studio in the morning, and then I execute. I put myself in a headspace, and then I execute. A lot of stuff just be, all right, this is what I'm gonna talk about. Bam. So that's how it works. But for me, that's how it works. It's okay. But whatever it is, and whatever it is that you do it well. All right, so we're gonna be talking about struggle well. Struggle well. The high. Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Miss Brand. How you doing? For everybody that's watching, again, we're going to be talking about struggling well. So before we get into this topic or get into this subject or get into this conversation, this is a conversation. It is an interactive conversation between you and I, or I'm having this conversation with myself, to myself, about myself, just out loud in a digital public forum to where you can just hear it. So don't feel I'm speaking to you. If I am, that means I'm talking to something that you resonate with. But let's go ahead and jump. All right. So, like always, we thank you. We appreciate you for being here. We'll always show you gratitude. Oh, man, I almost forgot. Today is Friday. What we do on Friday is we give shout outs and respects to everyone that listening to the podcast. I almost forgot. So, here we go. We're going to get into the audience, the algorithm, and give thanks to everybody who listens on a podcast. So, of course, in the United States, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the podcast. India, we say thank you. South Africa, thank you. Germany, Italy, Nigeria, Puerto Rico, United Kingdom, Kenya, Canada, South Korea, Indonesia, thank you. Singapore, thank you. France, Pakistan, thank you. Russia, thank you. Netherlands, thank you. Australia, thank you. Algeria, Saudi Arabia, thank you. Nepal, that's a new one, thank you. Morocco, Mexico, New Zealand, Ireland, Turkey, Slovenia, Namibia, Dominican Republic, thank you. Austria, thank you. U.S. Virgin Islands, thank you. Thailand, thank you. Ethiopia, thank you. I think that's a new one too. Malaysia, thank you. That's a new one. Belgium, that's a new one. Thank you. Philippines, thank you and appreciate you. 58% of the listeners of Consistency is Currency has been listened on Apple Podcasts, web browser, Spotify, Google Podcasts is coming in the building, and it's expanding. The gender, of course, is different from me, but the gender is 62% male, 38% female, and the age group, the largest age group of listeners is between 23 to 27. Then it goes to 35 to 44, then 18 to 22, which I love young people listening. And then the last 5% is 28 to 34. So definitely appreciate you for listening to the podcast. Okay. It says Facebook user. Hey, you, what's up? I know that font, so that gotta be none other than Miss Nisi. What she say? If we won't forget the Black Lives Protected racial inequity cleansing in the hands of the Nazis against the Jewish community. Okay, okay. I reach out to you, Miss Nisi, because I got hit up with an interview. Well, I'll just say it out loud. So I got hit up with a somebody asked me to do an interview yesterday, and it's going to be a very interesting interview that's going to come up. It's going to be on the TBP platform, and it's actually the director of um, that whole controversial thing that Kyrie Irving. So the actually director of that film, his people reached out and they want to do an interview, which was dope. I'm like, okay, we'll see how that's gonna roll, how it work, how it roll. So that's gonna be pretty dope. Yeah, looking forward to it. But without further ado, peace. Good morning, Miss Myrick. That's my sister, my older little sister. Peace. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. All right, so let's go ahead and take this leap. You ready? I'm ready. All right. Struggle well. Struggle well. Somebody put struggle well in the chat. Struggle well. Like when I was listening, I was on a run this morning, and the person that I was listening, well, it was like a mixture of different speakers, and the guy said, "Struggle well. We got to learn how to struggle well." And it literally stopped me in the tracks. I just stopped running. I was like, struggle well. Like, man, that's deep. Like, who tells you to struggle well? There's a lot of times people struggle, but who tells you to struggle well? Struggle well is a thought. Struggle well is a process of thought. And struggle well is a action based on the thoughts that you're having. So put struggle well. All right, let's go. So for those that know and understand the platform, you're going to get definitions of platforms, and we're going to invert the definition. It's either going to be red over white or white over red. If I say red over white, focus on red. If I say white over red, focus on the words that are in white. And again, this is an interactive platform to where if you see red over white like I do, put red over white and put how you see it. Type it in the chat how you see it, because I want to learn from you. Again, as I return a favor and bless you, I want you to return and bless me in return. All right, so the first definition of struggle. Trust me, I be combing through the dictionaries and trying to figure out figure out the definitions and just go ahead and so I can give them to you. Again, everything that I'm showing you, you can go and you can find it yourself, but the lessons are sold separately. All right. So the very first definition, strive to achieve or attain something in the face of difficulty or resistance. Strive to achieve or attain something in the face of difficulty or resistance. Put struggle in the chat, because a lot of times we feel a struggle takes place. It is pushing us away from where we feel we need to be. So the inversion that I want to pay attention to is red over white. I can kind of flip that, but I'm just going to focus on red over white. All right, strive to achieve or attain in the face of resistance. Strive to achieve or attain in the face of resistance. Just like that old song where it say trouble don't last always, struggle don't last always. Because if I'm striving to achieve or attain this thing that I want in the face of resistance, that means that I am not afraid to look at it. I'm not afraid to fight for it. because I'm standing in the face of resistance. It can only resist me for so long until I learn the process that it's going to take in order for me to achieve or attain that thing that I seek. Struggle well. It's hard. I know it's hard. I've been there. I'm in it. I've said it. I'm saying it. Strive to achieve or attain in the face of resistance. Because remember, when we were speaking, I think it was this past week, we were speaking about adversity. And the etymology of adversity, it says to turn towards. So why, when we struggle, we turn away and we run? But if we strive to attain it in the face of resistance, then therefore the adversary should no longer be an adversary anymore, because I'm facing you in the face of resistance, and I am telling you, and I'm telling myself that because I struggle, or because I have struggled, I live to tell another day. I live to be an asset to someone who is probably in that hole that I climbed out of, and I look down and I see someone else in there. But I can tell you how I achieved it. I can tell you how I resisted staying in that hole. And I can reach down and pull you up, or I can leave breadcrumbs for you can find your way out of that. Struggle well. And the next definition is have difficulty handling or coping with. Again, the second definition of struggle is have difficulty handling or coping with. I can flip this too, but I'm thinking on white over red. Difficulty handling or coping. So let's look at the process of healing. The process of healing is difficult. And during and through that process, you're dealing with the difficulties while you handle and you cope with your daily process. So yeah, the struggle is real. But what if you learn how to struggle well? That's not saying you're giving up. That's not even saying that you accept the struggle, but I accept the lessons in the struggle. That's what I accept. I accept the difficulties. I accept the handling, and I accept the coping with. Because I know on the other side of that struggle is my destiny. I know on the other side of that struggle is the harvest. I know on the other side of that struggle is a better day. I know that the struggles for today don't have to last until tomorrow if I understand that I have to handle the difficulties. I have to cope with the difficulties. I can say I can struggle well. Just like when they say all is well when you learn how to struggle well. Next definition of struggle is I like this one too. This one is pretty dope in this process. A determined effort under difficulties. So what we're talking about here is red over white. Effort under difficulties. Like that's almost the whole definition of struggle well, right? If you think about it, if we put struggle well in a dictionary and you say, what's the definition of struggle well? It's effort under difficulties. Like what efforts are you actually putting into the difficulties. Like, what are you doing when you're not feeling so well? What are you doing when it hurts? What are you doing when you strive to cope with something and it gets hard all over again? Effort under difficulties. Every day is not Monday. So why you look sad every day? Every day is not the weekend. But every day is a learning process. So the efforts that you put into it, the reward has no other option but to reward you based off of the efforts that you put into it under difficulties. Like, how do you heal from trauma? The efforts under difficulty. How do you gain wealth? It's the efforts that you put into it when you're under the difficulties of wanting to have more for you and your legacy, or wanting to have more for you and your household, or wanting to have more for you and yourself. And the next definition, now this one I had to extract a word just so we just get it just a little bit more. So this definition is said of struggle is to contend resolutely with a task, problem. It says etc. I probably should have took out etc. But whatever, cool. A task, problem, strive. So the inversion on this is red over white. To contend resolutely. To contend resolutely. So a contender is someone who is what? Committed to the fight, or committed to the journey, or committed to the task at hand, or committed to solution. Like, you're not a fighter until you fight. So are you ready to compete for success? Are you ready to compete for the goals that you have written down for yourself? Are you ready to compete resolutely? Now, I'm going to be transparent. I'm like, what in the world is resolutely? I heard a resolution. I heard a resolute, but I never really heard of resolutely. I'm just saying, blame it on the Cumberland County education system. I don't know. But so I was like, man, what is resolutely, and how does resolutely play a role in struggle? Or how does resolutely play a role in struggle well? I'm going to show you how. Just again, out of pure definition. So now the definition of resolutely, like, I couldn't even invert it because the whole definition just tied into struggle well. The definition of resolutely is in a admirable, purposeful, determined, and unwavering manner. Wow. Resolutely. That's in a admirable, purposeful, determined, and unwavering manner. Put struggle well resolutely. Because I am determined in an unwavering manner to be well throughout this struggle, to be well in this situation that I found myself in, to be at an admirable purpose in completing this task. So I was like, ooh, that was deep. Resolutely, struggle well is having the unwaverable manner to fight through what I have contended to do. I'm fighting to do. Struggle well. for this deep dive. It's not gonna be long, but I really want you to really pay attention to it. So we gonna like Queenie said, as you struggle well, that gives you and your power of perseverance, like we talked about yesterday, the power of your perseverance. Keep your head up. Stay with a daily meditation. Listen to positive and motivational speakers. You speak to yourself and motivate yourself because the motivation that you have is going to keep you going. And then Ms. Nisi said, here is an Aristotic poem, Struggle Well, Stand, Tenacity, Rest, Uplift, Gratitude, Go, Lifestyle. Mm. All right, so let's go ahead and close out this deep dive. So what have you learned about yourself? Like, it's November. December is literally a few weeks away. What have you learned about you? Because I'm going to tell you, Struggle Well is going to teach you more about you than doing well itself. Like, it feels good to do well. You can learn about you when you do well, but you're going to learn about you when you struggle well. Because just because you want to reach your destination doesn't mean that you're actually going to get there. Because struggle well is a due process, which means that it's going to take a while. Because again, you can't get to your destination just because you want it or just because you saw someone else achieve it. A struggle well is your own personal journey. Struggle well is like listening to the sounds along the way, listening to what you say to yourself, listening to what others say to you, listening to or learning from the things that you have developed along the way. Struggle well is your perseverance, like she said, but when it seems to get tough, it's like we learned yesterday, it is the continuance in the state of grace to endure during the pain. Because remember, the theology definition of perseverance was the continuance in the state of grace. So to struggle well is the continuance in a state of grace to endure the pain through the process of your struggle, because the journey was designed to give you what you deserve. The journey wasn't designed to give it to you, but the journey was only designed to give, like we said previously, the efforts. Like, what efforts are you putting into it? You say you want to be healed, but you put no effort into the process. You say you want to do more, but you put no efforts into the process of what you do. But what are you willing to do? I know you're not willing to stay in the hole, but are you willing to do what it takes for you to get out? Struggle well is learning through tough lessons to gain life's true experience. Learning those lessons to gain life's true experience, because now you're able to foresee other things for other people, because you knew what it was like when you were going through it. You knew what it was like when you fell into that hole. You knew what it was like when you slapped dead into that wall and you got that bump on your head. And now you're saying, man, this won't happen to me again, because you knew what struggle well was like. Stop talking about your harvest if you haven't planted anything. A whole bunch of people be talking about, ooh, I can't wait till I'm in my season, but you haven't planted anything. Stop talking about your harvest if you haven't planted any seeds. Any seeds. It's not. Again, the journey is only going to give what you deserve. The harvest is only going to allow you to reap what you plant, because the reaping is only reserved for the planters. So if you don't put nothing in it, then how do you have this high expectations of receiving something from it? Because the harvest is reserved for those who struggle well during the season, and they reap the rewards during the harvest. See how that process works? During my season of struggling, I've stayed committed. I've stayed on task. I've stayed dedicated. So when it is time for me to reap my reward, I have struggled well enough to assume or attain the harvest, because I deserve it, because I've put in the effort. I have maximized my effort. I have admirably, purposefully determined an unwavering manner able to receive, because I've struggled well during the process resolutely. Not window shopping at other people's gifts when you haven't even looked at your own. You're looking at what everybody else have achieved, and you're looking at what everybody else have attained, but you're not looking at your own natural internal gifts that you have. You struggle because you want what somebody else have. You don't struggle well when you notice with what you have and working towards it. That's when you begin to struggle well. Like, I can't continue to struggle to try to get what you have if I don't even put in the effort with what I have. I get it. Not everyone goes through struggles. Not everyone will. But when you do, what are you doing? What are you doing through the times? What are you doing in those messages that you give to yourself? Are you applying yourself to those things? Because struggling well will teach you how to talk to yourself when those things happen to you again. Struggle well and know that your time is coming. Struggle well and know that your struggle is not in vain. Yeah. Said reaping is only reserved for the planters. So if y'all see that again, y'all know where it came from. Reaping is only reserved for the planters. You got people walking around with bags of seeds that plant nothing, but they ready to eat when your harvest come. They walking around, walking in your house with a to-go plate, knowing they didn't put anything in towards the struggle, in towards the meal. I'm just saying. That might not be you, but I'm just saying. All right, that's enough. Hey, today is Friday. But for those that watch, let me know your takeaways. I already see a couple of them. Reaping is only reserved for the planters. Stay the course within the struggle. Miss Myra said, cast your net. Queenie said, your time is coming and your struggle is not in vain. It's not that. Struggling well is a response. I'm going to say that. Struggle well is a response to the struggle. Like, you're not going to beat me. Not today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not next year. You're not going to beat me. I know what struggling feels like. So I know what the process is because I've learned how to cope. Struggling well could be a cope, but you have to look at it from an honest perspective. Like, man, it's going to get better. I know it can get better. I'm going to stay in the fight. I'm going to be my biggest contender, and I'm going to get there. Struggle well. Y'all be blessed. Enjoy your Friday. Do what it is that you want to do today. For those who have a day off, I got some things that I need to do for the day. Then I'll close it out early. All right. But y'all remember here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. I'm Mr. R2, and I say thank you. Hats off to you. And y'all be blessed. Enjoy the rest of y'all Friday and weekend. Share this with somebody because I know you know somebody who's struggling. So when you see him say struggle well, I'm like, what do you mean? Struggle well. Be determined. Fight through it. Be your greatest contender. Resolutely. Peace.